Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we try to cut through the confusion and get straight to what you really need to know.
Hmm.
And today, we are tackling a really high-stakes dilemma. It's one that hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. are facing.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about international students, specifically those on an F-1 visa, who are kind of caught between these crushing tuition costs and, well, the gig economy. It's booming. It seems so easy to access.
It is a profound conflict, and you have to approach it with just maximum caution. That F-1 visa is a sacred document. Its purpose is purely academic.
Purely academic.
And that temptation to, deliver for DoorDash or drive for Uber to ease that financial strain is just enormous. But any unauthorized work, it carries these immediate and, frankly, permanent risks.
And that's the tension we're diving into. I mean, you're talking about students who are often paying international tuition rates, sometimes triple what domestic students pay.
In a country where they are, for the most part, prohibited from earning the money to cover those costs.
Right, let alone rent or food. So our mission today is to take this really confusing intersection of U.S. immigration rules, the mechanics of gig work, and the very narrow legal pathways that do exist and just make them crystal clear for you.
Let's do it.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The F-1 visa, it's a non-immigrant student visa intended solely for education. Why does that classification matter so much when it comes to earning money?
It matters because that classification is the entire foundation of the agreement you have with the U.S. government. It means you do not have automatic general work authorization.
It's not an open door.
Not at all. It is not an open door to the U.S. labor market. That door requires a separate, explicit key.
And that key has to be granted either by immigration authorities or, in some cases, your university.
Exactly.
So when you look at the requirements for, say, just basic gig work, the conflict comes up immediately. To sign up for Uber, for instance, you need to clear a few hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. You typically need to be at least 21, have a U.S. driver's license that's, a year or two old, have car insurance.
A four-door car.
Right, a compliant vehicle. And crucially, every single one of those platforms requires a Social Security number, an SSN, to report your earnings to the IRS.
Which means we can just deliver the hard, unequivocal answer right now. For an F-1 student without some other specific authorization, driving for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash,
Right.
it's strictly illegal.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
And that whole independent contractor thing,
Yeah.
it's not a loophole.
Not a loophole.
And we should probably clarify just how broad the government's definition of unauthorized employment really is.
Yeah, because it's wider than people think.
It's way wider than just getting a regular W-2 paycheck. It includes any paid work off campus without a permit. It can even include unpaid internships for a for-profit company if you haven't gotten authorization.
And of course, working as an independent contractor or for any gig service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a modern scenario that I see popping up all the time. Remote work. Let's say a student is sitting in their dorm room in Texas, right? But they're writing code for a company back in their home country. The money's coming from abroad. Is that allowed?
That is such a pervasive and dangerous misunderstanding. No, it is not allowed.
Wow.
The authorization rule is based entirely on your physical location, where the work is performed, not where the employer is or where the paycheck comes from.
So if you are physically in the U.S., you need work authorization, period.
Period. That work, even remote for a foreign company, is unauthorized employment. It violates your status.
So if the rule is that strict, why does this misconception persist? I mean, why do people think that independent contractor work, the whole 1099 versus W-2 thing, is somehow safer?
This is what I call the 1099 illusion. Students mistakenly believe that because they're an independent contractor for tax purposes, they're not technically an employee.
Right. They get a 1099 form, not a W-2, so they think they've found a way around it.
They assume that since they're their own boss, they found a loophole in the employment restrictions. But the U.S. government's view is simple.
If you're earning income for a service, it's work.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what tax form you get. And this leads right into the SSN trap.
Ah, okay. Explain this.
So students often get an SSN legally. Maybe they had a J-1 visa before, or they got an authorized on-campus job.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the critical distinction. Having an SSN is not the same as having work authorization.
That's a huge point.
The SSN is a tax ID number. It is not a blanket grant to work. You still need the underlying permit from USCIS or your school.
So the SSN is the key that lets you sign up for the gig apps, which then lets you break the law. And it creates a record.
And that's the paper trail risk.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's why this type of work is often way more dangerous than just, under-the-table cash jobs.
Because it's official.
It's official. Uber, DoorDash, they report the 1099 income directly to the IRS and the Social Security Administration linked to your SSN. It creates this clear, undeniable record of illegal employment.
So let's talk about the future. Why is that documented violation so catastrophic years down the road?
Because it's permanent proof. Years later, when that person applies for, say, an H-1B visa or a green card, they have to submit their past tax returns.
And there it is.
And there is. That 1099 income sitting right there on official federal records with no corresponding work permit like an EAD or CPT endorsement.
It's an instant red flag.
It's more than a red flag. It can lead to an outright rejection of their application. It can get them forced out of the country, maybe even with a reentry bar. It's a violation that just haunts everything that comes after.
It's just hard to imagine. You're trying to manage classes, tuition, and now you have to understand the Internal Revenue Code and complex immigration law just to deliver a few meals.
It's a massive burden.
Yeah.
So let's pivot. Let's talk about the pathways. What are the legal, safe avenues for students?
Okay, good. We have 4 main legal options. Let's start with the simplest, most accessible one, on-campus employment.
This is the foundation. It means working for the university, the library, the IT department, maybe your research lab.
Or even an affiliated off-campus spot that serves students.
Right. And the beauty here is its simplicity. No separate USCIS authorization is needed. You just have to talk to your designated school official, the DSO.
And the DSO isn't just some administrator. They are the key to everything.
They're your gatekeeper. They manage your I-20 form. For on-campus work, the rule is pretty clear, up to 20 hours a week during the school year.
But you can go full-time during holidays and breaks.
Correct.
Okay, option 2. Off-campus employment based on economic hardship. This sounds like a safety net, but it's really hard to get, isn't it?
Exceptionally difficult, and for good reason. First, you have to have completed a full academic year, and then you must prove an unexpected financial collapse, something totally beyond your control.
So not just, my rent went up.
No, we're talking about the loss of your financial sponsor, a huge medical emergency, a natural disaster back home that wiped out your family's savings is a very high bar.
Right. That leaves the 2 big ones, the practical training routes, CPT and OPT. Let's start with Curricular Practical Training, or CPT.
CPT is usually the fastest route to getting real-world experience. It's designed to be an integral part of your curriculum. Think an internship or a practicum.
And since it's curricular, it's authorized internally by the DSO.
Exactly. The DSO just endorses your I-20 form, no waiting for USCIS.
And the time limits, is it also just 20 hours?
CPT can actually be full-time, but there is a huge caveat here. If you use more than 12 months of full-time CPT, you lose your eligibility for OPT later.
So you have to watch that clock.
You have to manage that clock very carefully.
And this is where we can connect back to the bigger economic system here. We know these massive corporations, Amazon, Intel, Microsoft, Google, they are the top users of CPT year after year. Why?
This was one of the biggest surprises for me in this deep dive. It's not just about getting talent, it's financial.
How so?
Students on CPT are exempt from paying Social Security and Medicare taxes as long as they've been in the U.S. for less than 5 years.
And for the employer, that translates to
a huge savings. It's a 15.3% payroll tax discount compared to hiring a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident.
wow.
The incentive for companies to structure internships this way is enormous. It's why CPT authorizations peaked at over 151,000 in 1 year. It's a system that benefits both the student and the employer's bottom line.
But bringing it back to our main topic, CPT does not help with gig work.
No, absolutely not. CPT must be tied to a specific employer that is listed on your I-20. You cannot use it for freelance work, self-employment, or independent contracting. That is non-negotiable.
Okay, so that brings us to our last and most flexible option, optional practical training, or OPT. This is what most students aim for after graduation.
OPT is temporary employment. It gives you up to 12 months of experience related to your major. And this path is different because it requires full USCIS approval and the issuance of that physical EAD card.
The employment authorization document.
Yes, that card is your proof.
So if you have that EAD card after you graduate, can you finally be a freelancer? Can you start your own business?
Yes. This is the first time the rules really allow it. Self-employment, freelancing, independent contracting, it is all explicitly allowed on post-completion OPT.
But there must be rules to maintain your status. What do you have to do to prove you're complying if you're your own boss?
Oh, it's very demanding. First, The work has to be directly related to your major. Second, you have to work at least 20 hours a week. And third, and this is the most critical part, you must keep meticulous records.
What kind of records?
Detailed contracts, invoices, list of clients, maybe even a business license. You have to be able to prove the legitimacy in the hours of your work. The burden of proof is entirely on you if USCIS ever asks.
That's a serious amount of paperwork. Now, what about STEM students? They get that 24-month extension. Does that self-employment flexibility apply there too?
And that is the other big caveat that trips people up. No. Self-employment does not qualify for the STEM OPT extension. For the extension, you must have a formal employer who is enrolled in the E-Verify system. So even if you are self-employed for the first 12 months, you have to switch to a structured job for the extension.
Let's just spend another moment on the consequences. Because the risk has to outweigh the temptation. What happens when someone is caught?
The outcome is immediate and it's severe. Loss of status.
Just like that?
Unauthorized work is a deportable offense. Your SEVIS record gets terminated, your legal status is gone, you're forced to leave the country.
And the long-term damage for future visas?
It's immense. Once you leave, you could start accruing unlawful presence. If you have more than 180 days, you could face a 3-year bar to re-entering the U.S. Over a year, it's a 10-year bar.
Devastating.
And that violation will jeopardize every future application H-1B green card, because that paper trail of illegal employment is permanent.
The anxiety this causes is so real. We saw that anecdote about the PhD student who was already on a path for a high-level EB-2
The international interest waiver, yeah.
but who worked for DoorDash during a sudden financial crisis.
That story is chilling, because it shows how one short-term decision can put years of achievement at risk.
Yeah.
Now, during their green card application, they had this immense anxiety about whether to disclose that work.
Because that small mistake, made when the rules were confusing, could torpedo their entire future in the U.S.?
Absolutely. It perfectly illustrates why compliance is 100% the student's responsibility. You cannot rely on how you're paid cash or 1099 or what a gig company tells you. You have to talk to your DSO or an immigration attorney.
And that brings us back to the bigger picture here. We've established the system is complex. It's driven by the student's need, but also by the employer's, 15.3% payroll incentive?
Right, to use programs like CPT.
So the system allows students to get experience, but it also creates this huge pool of highly skilled, but also highly restricted labor.
Exactly. And understanding these nuances, that your value is immense and that these programs are structured to give companies huge cost benefits, is so important.
So compliance isn't just about following the rules.
It's about understanding the true economic landscape. It's about moving through the legal pathways with full awareness of your worth and your rights.
A great reminder that there are always these invisible economic pressures shaping the opportunities available to you. And that knowledge is really the best defense against risking your entire future for a quick gig. Thank you for diving in with us.